So what applications of AI excite you the most in the context of defending cyber physical systems?
So AI for us is a evolution. It starts from rule-based analytics to supervised machine learning-based analytics, and then goes into generative AI. What excites me most about is the supervised machine learning. We have a ton of data, be it from the IoT systems, physical systems, or IT security systems. It's very important to learn from the telemetry of those protection technologies, and also what actions have been taken based on the past alerts, past threats, past attacks. So merging these two things together and doing a disposition based on what has been done in the past and automating that will yield a very high results of automation. So you can pretty much reduce the noise of the alerts and increase the speed of the actionable alerts, actionable entities that you need to escalate faster. Right? So the combination of the both of reducing the low value and increasing on the high value, and using the analysts, the human in the loop, for the high value alerts investigation is where I bet my money on.
So is that like an early win you're seeing in terms of reducing that noise, cutting down on alerts?
Yeah, it is early win. It is also helping our analysts to focus on the most important investigations. It also helping it from a analyst experience standpoint, analyst satisfaction standpoint, because when they come in and do on the work on these alerts, which all they do is investigate for 15 minutes and then close it, it's not providing value to their job. They don't feel they're contributing back to the business.
What are some security use cases that you're hearing about today beside what we've discussed?
The security use cases we hear from is across the cybersecurity framework. So we want AI to be applied in the identify part of it, particularly in the vulnerability management and risk scoring, where you could say, what is a vulnerability that can be exploited? So how do you rate that as a higher risk compared to the one that does not have a weaponized exploit? So that's one thing where AI can help in terms of risk-based approach. Second thing is about detection technologies, detection engineering aspects, where because of the complexity of the attacks and the complexity of the volume and the volume of the attacks, we need better and faster detections, detection strategies. So AI can help in that aspect as well. When it comes to threat management, in terms of the threat management lifecycle where the analyst is working on the alerts, I gave you an example. That's where. The other thing is about early warning signals, attack simulations. So AI can also help in that particular area. It's an emerging space. It's not in the context of predicting the future, but it's in the context of generating early warning signals, so we can identify detections for those early warning signals and be prepared to prevent those attacks.
I'm just curious, just kind of playing off your answer there, how do you convey these benefits to customers, to users? In what terms? Is it, are you reducing X amount of hours, X amount of incidents? What's your metric?
See, my mantra to communicating a client is, are we preparing you enough to prevent business disruption? That's where I look at it. Okay. In that sense, it is about proactively managing the threats, proactively managing the vulnerabilities. Okay. Now, when we take the example of vulnerability management in the identify space, I talked about a risk-based approach. If we apply AI and then identify the risk and take the necessary hygiene steps, patching, hardening, based on those risk-based approach, based on the weaponized exploits, you're preparing the environment that much better. So you're preventing a lot of the attacks because they cannot exploit that environment anymore. Now things tend to happen. Some threats will go through. Right? When they go through, now you have lower volume of alerts to handle, and by applying techniques, better detection engineering techniques, better threat dispositioning manner, and automating threat disposition, where you only use the humans from an investigation standpoint for high value alerts, that's how we put the mechanisms. The metric that I want to convey to the clients is about speed to action, speed to detection. Am I better off detecting now compared to before? Right? Speed to mitigation, speed to remediation. Right? So that's how it's not only productivity benefits. I know everybody talks about productivity benefits in the context of generative AI, but for me, it's a combination of productivity benefits plus response time. And overall, the combination of the two, are we reducing the risk or not? So that's the way I communicate.
I'm sure it's very attractive to someone hearing it in that context. So we've been discussing this from a defender's point of view, from that context. How are attackers leveraging this capability at all, or can they take advantage of it? What's your sense there?
So attackers definitely can take an advantage of, particularly generative AI, particularly what is available as a black box model or SaaS-based models, right? In fact, there is a attacker version of an AI service called WormGPT that is available already. £60 per month is what they sell it as a subscription fee. So what has happened in that context is it has the potential to bring in more attackers into the fray. Right? Because the barrier to entry in terms of compiling attacks is lower, right? People with lower skills also can now compile attacks. The way we see these attackers using generative AI particularly is they can identify this source code of a particular application and the vulnerabilities of within that particular source code, and compile malware or compile attacks based on that particular source code. Right? So it becomes more targeted, more tailored to exploit the vulnerabilities within a particular source code. In addition to that, they can also make it more complicated, more complex attacks. So the defenders have to peel it back in a much more complex way. And then the other thing also is the speed. Now they can compile more attacks because they have tools and technology available to them. They can compile it faster and launch attacks faster. And the volume of the attacks potentially can increase as well.
And what's the learning curve for them in terms of adding complexity to attacks, et cetera?
I think the learning curve is lower now because all they have to do is just be a very good prompt engineer and ask the right questions to compile that attack and be conversant with a particular language. They don't have to have deep understanding of the source code compilation or source code language that's been created, but they can ask the right questions, compile the right malware, target the right environment, and be at that. Previously, they had to go scan the environments. They had to understand the source code. They had to understand the vulnerabilities and do those things. Now it's that cycle time for them actually has reduced.
So just as a last question, just in terms of clients that you interact with, are you getting like a common theme of questions or confusion about AI from them and how it applies to security?
So not so much of confusion. First thing is, I think everybody is catching up to AI. Previously, we have applied AI for a few years now. Right? Everything, like the way I mentioned about the evolution. We had to push the AI story to the clients and explain them and say, here are the benefits, etc. But now the clients are asking for it. They're saying, what is that you have? We want to deploy it in our environment to reap the benefits, like the way I mentioned about productivity benefits and response time. So that way it is helping us. But the other side effect to this is everybody is assuming Gen AI is the answer, whereas it's not. It's a combination of rule-based analytics plus supervised machine learning plus definitely generative AI and large language models will also help. But we got to look at the right tool for the right job and place it there. And Gen AI may not necessarily be the only answer. There are other tools in the toolbox.